Hey guys, I am Caleb Giddings, aka Mr. Revolver, and today we are not specifically talking about revolvers, as you can tell from the title of this video, but we're talking about three of my favorite cartridges and which one you should pick for your next hunting adventure. We're going to break down the pros and cons of 4570 Government, 460 Magnum, and 450 Bushmaster. Now, right off the bat, you're like, why would we talk about these three cartridges? Well, I have three samples of each one of them here. And as you can see, as I hold these up to the camera, they're really similar. So this 4570 in the middle, we've got a 460 Magnum, and this is a 450 Bushmaster. They're not really all of that different in size. They're all throwing a nominally 45 caliber projectile downrange. And as you're going to discover as we go through this, they're all pretty ballistically similar as well, because they're all really doing largely the same thing. But gun platform that you're firing these out of is going to have a huge effect on what you can and cannot do with these cartridges. So let's explain. We'll start with our old friend, the 4570 Government. Now, the big advantage to 4570 is because it was introduced in the 1800s, it's been around for a while, there's a lot of guns that are chambered in it, and there's a ton of different loads available for it. I think the gun that most people associate with 4570 is going to be a lever action rifle, like this Rossi R95 that I have set up. This is kind of what you think of when you think 4570, you think lever action rifle, possibly in part thanks to Wind River, which featured a gun very similar to this with a similar setup. I definitely did not build this to clone that gun. I may have, but anyway. So you can get it in your lever action rifles, short barrel guns like this. You can get it in longer barreled lever guns, like get a 22-inch or something like that. All over the map, there's revolvers from Magnum Research, obviously these Rossi rifles, all kinds of different options for your 4570 chambering. The other big advantage is that there's a tremendous number of different loads for it, right? So you have everything from something like this Hornady Subsonic, which is a 410 grain bullet going like 950 feet per second at a very low pressure. This is safe to shoot in older 4570s, like the old trapdoor Springfields, and loads are marked out there that are safe to shoot in those old guns, but this is. And this is kind of the low end of your recoil spectrum for this round. It's very easy to shoot, and for shots kind of in that 100-yard envelope, as long as someone's physically capable of holding the rifle, the recoil for this is not going to punish them in any significant way. Kind of in the middle of the pack, you have something like the Hornady Lever Revolution or Lever Revolution. One of these days I'll figure out how you're supposed to say that. This is a 2,000 feet per second projectile. It's 325 grains. This will hit you in the shoulder. I've shot this. It is a little bit less pleasant than the subsonic load, but you're getting better downrange performance, you're getting a flatter trajectory on your zero, so it's a bit better choice if you want to reach out to, say, 200 yards, right? Still kind of a trajectory like a rainbow. According to Hornady, they say that it has, if you zero your rifle at 200, that it's going to be 5.5 inches high at 100 yards, which makes sense, right? And then at the very high end of the spectrum, you have your, which I don't have here, you have your DG, your dangerous game loads, your, 200 or your 300 grain copper solids or your 500 grain hard cast lead solids that are going, some insane number and will literally kill a Cape Buffalo. And I know it'll kill a Cape Buffalo because my boss, the CEO of Taurus, took a Rossi R95 to Africa this year and killed a Cape Buffalo with one. He had a special dangerous game load that had been made up by Hornady for it. That may get released to the public at some point. I'm very excited if it does, but it smashed this buffalo in its tracks. So you have a large variety of loads that you can get for the gun that are suitable for everything from deer to dangerous game, and you have a tremendous number of platforms that chamber this round. So 4570, off to a pretty good start. Now let's look at the next one on our list, and that is the 460 Magnum. 460 Magnum is actually the most powerful handgun cartridge in the world. It runs at higher chamber pressures than 500 Magnum and delivers a bullet at an insane velocity depending on the gun that you're shooting it out of. This is the Federal Barnes 275 grain solid copper hollow point, the Barnes expander load. Now I chronoed this. Federal on the box says it's only going like 1600 feet per second. That depends very much on the barrel length. I chronoed this out of the Taurus Raging Hunter in 460 Magnum, and you know what I got? I got 1900 feet per second out of this absolute cannon on that round. So what that means is now I got a bullet coming out of a revolver that is in 45-70 terminal ballistics territory. It is an absolute piss missile. And it also has killed Cape Buffalo. My boss apparently likes to kill Cape Buffalo with 45 caliber cartridges. Killed a Cape Buffalo with the 460. The first round in the gun was one of those Barnes expanders, and the rest were all solids, and he stoned it with that gun. The disadvantage to the 460 is the number of guns that it's chambered in, right? Like, there's not a lot of 460s on the market, and they all tend to be monsters like this thing, right? You know, we've got the Raging Hunters from Taurus, Smith & Wesson X-frames in 460, and you could probably get some custom guns made in it as well. Ruger doesn't actually do a 460 because they have their own I think it's the 480 Ruger, which is their big 45 super duper cartridge. So they don't even do one of these, which I guess makes sense if that's what you're into. But the flip side of that is, you know, so you don't have a lot of choices when it comes to guns in 460, which is fine because people who get a 460 want a 460. This isn't one of those, like the 4570 you might buy on a lark. You might buy a 4570 because you're like, I want a lever action rifle. Nah, I get a 4570 because your choices are, you know, kind of either pistol caliber cartridges, 30-30 or 4570. So yeah, you get a 4570. So that one makes sense. People who get 460s get a 460 because they want a 460. And that's kind of that. The other disadvantage to the 460 is that there aren't nearly as many loads available for it, right? Like you've got pretty much, everything is pretty much a piss missile. You know, it's a 275 grain solid copper hollow point at 1900 feet per second, or 350 grain cast solid at 1600 feet per second, and stuff like that, right? Like it's all wrist breaking, painful stuff. But the advantage to 460 that is not present with any of these other guns that we're talking about today, with these other cartridges that we're talking about today, is that you can shoot a bunch of other stuff out of it. Out of my 460 Raging Hunter right here, I can shoot 454 Casull, or I can go all the way down to 45 Colt, and running 45 Colt out of a gun this size is almost like running it out of a lever gun. I get some of those benefits from this longer barrel to burn up that extra powder in there and make the round a little bit more ballistically efficient. So we offset the fact that there aren't a lot of 460 loads available by the fact that it also shoots 45 Colt and 454 Casull. And when you combine all of those, you get a ton of variability in your cartridges. And that is pretty cool. Now let's get on to the last one on our list, which is my pet cartridge, the 450 Bushmaster. This is a 450 Bushmaster loaded with a 250 grain Barnes bullet, which at the muzzle is doing an alleged 2200 feet per second. I have not fired this over a chrono. I only have one gun chambered for this, but I would believe that number based on how that recoil popped me in the shoulder when I fired this thing. Now, this is almost exact. I mean, this thing and the 460, right? They're damn near twins at this point. So why would you get a 450 Bushmaster over, say, a 460? And the answer is ARs. This was designed for states where you cannot hunt with bottleneck cartridges. So you see, it's not a tapered case, it's a straight wall cartridge. So this was designed for straight wall cartridge states, and it was designed for AR uppers, and it fits in AR magazines. To demonstrate, I have an AR-15 magazine, which you can see already has 1 round right here in it. We're just going to put a couple more rounds in here. Now, I might not have picked the best magazine for this task because the springs in this thing are a little bit dicky, but as you can see, we got 2. Push that spring down. It basically turns your double stack AR magazine into a single stack magazine, right? I've got 3 in here. I don't know how many I can actually fit in a 20 round magazine, but I don't think it's that many. There's 4, and we'll do 1 more. There you go. I got 5 rounds in this 20 round AR magazine. I could probably get more in here, but I'm not gonna mess with it because loading this is actually a huge pain in the ass. But you get the point, right? The advantage to this is I can take my AR-15 upper and just pop off the 5.56 upper, pop on a 450 Bushmaster upper, click the same mags that I'm already running into place, and now I have a hunting rifle. And it's legal in states that allow you to hunt with semi-automatic rifles, which isn't legal in every state. Weird, I know, but it's legal in those states. And honestly, that's pretty cost effective. And you can also get it in bolt-action rifles. My 450 Bushmaster is actually a bolt-action gun. It's a Ruger Hawkeye, really beautiful gun. I might have bought it at an NRA auction at NRA annual meetings when I've maybe been tipping them back a bit. And I was like, surely someone will outbid me on this fine rifle. No one outbid me. Anyway, that's how I got that gun. But that's neither here nor there. Now with 450 Bushmaster, the loads aren't as diverse as you would get for, say, 4570, right? You have the Barnes loads, you've got a few other loads. Hornady also makes a subsonic load for it, which I tell you what, it's basically exactly the same as the 4570. In fact, the best way to explain 450 Bushmaster is it is 4570 in your AR-15. That's what it is. That's what it's designed to do, is give you 4570 style ballistics out of a modern semi-automatic rifle package. And that's pretty cool. I think that that's neat because everyone's got like 3 ARs in their gun safe or their gun closet or wherever they keep all their guns. And having the ability to immediately convert one of those into an extremely effective hunting rifle that, again, is good for anything from white-tailed deer all the way up to, you know, North American dangerous game. I think you could probably take African dangerous game with a 450 Bushmaster, but I can't find anyone on the internet who's tried it yet, and I don't know if I'm that brave. I might be that, well, brave or dumb. But regardless, I think that's a really solid use case for the 4570 is because you already have an AR, it's just a new upper, and that's pretty cool. Or you can do what I did and, you know, drink too much at an NRA Foundation banquet and buy yourself a bolt gun. But that gets us to kind of the end of the video where we're going to ask the question, so which one should you get? And I'm the worst person to answer that question because I have all 3. So maybe don't ask me, but I'll say this. If I was only going to get one super ultra major power factor 45 caliber large format hunting round, it would be the 4570. And it would be the 4570 because it's been around the longest, it has the greatest number of different loadings available for it, and it's got the largest number of guns available for it, and I think it's the nicest of the 3 to shoot. So to me, 4570 is probably the winner here if you're only going to get one. Now, if you're a revolver guy, I would say get 460, right? If you are into handgun hunting, 460 is without a doubt the answer. And if you're a tactical guy, right? All you have is 2011s and tricked out AR-15s, then get the 450 Bushmaster. Get what is the easiest path of entry into these calibers for you, because that's kind of what they are, right? If, as a revolver guy, if I've already got a 454 Casull or a 45 Colt, then the 460 makes sense. As a, just a gun guy who wants a cool gun, the lever gun in 4570 makes the most sense. And as an AR guy, the 450 Bushmaster makes the most sense. especially with 450 Bushmaster and 4570, they both kind of do the exact same thing, right? And you've got kind of similar loads and projectiles available for both. So that one, yeah, flip a coin. 460 makes the most sense, again, if you're a revolver guy. So there's no real winner here, right? The purpose of this video wasn't to say that the 460 is superior to the 4570 or the 450 Bushmaster is superior to the 460. They're not. They're all largely doing the same thing, and they're all super cool, which is why I have all three. And if that's less than helpful, but you enjoyed it because you're a gun nerd like me, you should like this video, you should share it to a friend, you should subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with more content, honestly, when I get around to making it.